Hello there, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Wherever you are, welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast. We are live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Instagram at alter.health and in our new Facebook group, Empowered Self Healers. Welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast, your source of information and inspiration to promote the holistic transformation of your health and the health of our planet. And I'm Dr. Benjamin Alter.
And I'm Dr. Susanna Alter.
And if it's your first time tuning in, welcome. We're glad that you're here. And before we dive into this week's episode, which is focused on pain and everything that you need to know about understanding pain and also finding the blessings in your pain and going beyond pain, transcending pain, freeing yourselves from the limitations that pain can have on our lives.
Yes.
But before we dive into that,
we wanted to invite all of our listeners out there to join our Facebook community, which is called the Empowered Self Healers, where we host these live Thursday recordings on our podcast. And we're also hosting our self-healing master series, a 5-day series where we're really diving into understanding our self-healing potential and power and maximizing that self-healing power.
And that is starting October 21st. So just a week and a half or so from now, go on over to facebook.com/groups/alterhealth to join today if you're not already in there. And obviously our live attendees, thanks for being there. We're glad that you're there. And if you are in the Facebook group, you can join in and join the conversation of these Thursday podcast episodes. Anyways, on to the program, on into pain. And pain is a huge, huge topic. I mean, we could spend hours diving into the nitty-gritty details of the science, anatomy, and physiology and neuroscience of pain, which is, more or less very, pretty well understood. That being said, there's a lot of gaps. And it's important to point out first and foremost that pain is a subjective experience. We all experience pain differently in our bodies. And we also have to distinguish acute pain from chronic pain, which are very different pathways, very different phenomenons in the body. So those are some things that we're going to be talking about today, as well as how to shift our experience with pain, in the midst of pain. What can we do to free ourselves from that grip that it can have on us? So these are some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Anything you wanted to add before we unravel?
That sounds like a good outline.
Okay. So what is pain? What is pain? So, it's a psychological, neurological phenomenon, and it's feedback from the body. It's feedback from the body that your body is in acute danger. So it's feedback protecting you. So it is truly a gift designed within you, programmed within you to keep you safe, to keep you healthy. That's why we experience pain. Pain is wrapped up in this inflammatory process. It's part of the inflammatory cascade. So we have some sort of tissue injury or threat to tissue injury, like a burn, or you crash your mountain bike like I like to do, or any other number of things that threaten the integrity of your body and your tissues, you are going to experience pain. And one of the things that happens, just to get into a little science for those sciencey nerds like myself out there, one of the things that happens is arachidonic acid, which is wrapped up in the walls of cells, is broken down, and that's an omega-6 fatty acid that's in cellular membranes. It's broken down by this enzyme called cyclooxygenase, or the COX enzyme, to create prostaglandins, which are these messengers that go around the body and trigger all sorts of inflammatory processes that promote the immune system and call upon the immune system to heal the body. So they are, soldiers or not, white blood cells and the immune systems are really the soldiers, but these are the calls or the messengers that are calling the soldiers to help heal the body. That's part of your built-in self-healing mechanism. Another side effect or alternative effect of these prostaglandins is kind of a feeling of lethargy is kind of a side effect of prostaglandins, and kind of a bad mood is really a common side effect of prostaglandins, as well as just kind of like wanting to curl up. An interesting side effect of these prostaglandins. And once again, this is kind of part of this built-in self-healing phenomenon of the body to keep you well, to provide the environment for your body to heal itself. So that's all built in. So that's the acute pain cascade. And there's these drugs that are designed, cyclooxygenase inhibitors, COX inhibitors, like NSAIDs, as well as aspirin, are designed to break that cascade and inhibit the synthesis of these prostaglandins that are part of your body's healing inflammatory pathway. And those, reduce inflammation on an acute level, and they also reduce pain because prostaglandins are part of that pain signaling pathway. And then there's the central experience of pain. Central being in the central nervous system, in the brain. And that's where drugs like opiates are designed to function. They're designed to inhibit, or not directly inhibit, but change our perception of pain within our central nervous system by triggering different endorphins and different other neurotransmitters and chemicals that essentially just get our brains a little bit confused. And that's why there's this phenomenon known as opiate-induced hyperalgesia, I think it is, where people who are taking opiates for longer periods of time actually have more pain because the pain works around and does its magic to kind of create this subjective experience of pain. And that's really where we start getting into crossing the boundary between acute pain and chronic pain. Chronic pain is something that a lot of people struggle with and experience. And really the way that I like to define chronic pain is that, the body isn't necessarily in any acute danger or threat, but the body still perceives that acute danger or threat. And that's, once again, part of a built-in phenomenon to keep you safe. It's like, I know that if I twist my elbow like around 360 degrees, it'll hurt. So I'm not going to do that. But even if you're not twisting your elbow, that's a really weird, stupid example. But even if you're not twisting your arm, your body on a central nervous system level is still perceiving that acute threat. So it is a really unique and interesting phenomenon, all of these pathways that lead to the subjective experience of pain. And it is important to understand that pain is a unique subjective experience. Every human being experiences pain differently. A lot of people say, oh, I've got a high pain threshold, or, oh, that person, that wuss over there has a low pain threshold. But, we all have our own unique relationship and experience of pain. And I don't know if I've always thought that I had a high pain threshold, but in recent times, I've been in circumstances where I'm like a crybaby, and Susanna's sitting over here laughing because she's observed that. So and the other thing to maybe point out is our subjective experience of pain is, of course, unique to you and me. And it is also varying depending on our state of mind, moment to moment. That is another thing that influences our subjective experience of pain. And just to provide a little bit of an example to that, if you have a headache, maybe, this throbbing headache that has kept you in bed, and you've got a friend who says, oh, there's this party tonight, just please come out of bed. You'll love it. Just try to get out of bed and try to, live your life and come to this party. And, you're like, oh, like, really? I don't know. I've got this throbbing headache. Can I really do it? But it's not uncommon to get out of bed, to have the experience. I'm sure a lot of people can relate out there. You get out of bed and you just start living your life, and then your thoughts go somewhere else. Your thoughts go from your head and your throbbing headache and that subjective experience of pain to, oh, that's a, fun looking appetizer that looks yummy. I'm gonna try that. Oh, like, what's that person drinking? I'll have a bubbly drink. So our thoughts we get out of our heads. We get out of our experience of pain, and we get out of that gripped, really locked into the pain cycle, if you will, of thinking about pain and just hyper focusing on pain, and then enhancing or magnifying the subjective experience of pain. So I just spilled, a lot of information out there, and I'm going to let Susanna come in and and save me while I reflect and see what else I want to add to this conversation, because we identified that I'm kind of in the driver's seat of this one, but Susanna, please co-pilot with me.
Okay. Yeah, so what Ben just went over is really the difference between acute pain and chronic pain. Chronic pain, also known as centrally mediated pain. And I think it's really helpful to distinguish between those two types of pain. And I would say, boiling down to really, again, what pain is and why we have pain, it's like what Ben said, it's part of the divine design of our human body. When we have pain, it's sending a signal to ourselves that there's something that isn't quite right going on, whether that is a physical threat to the body or whether that is stemming from your mental state, whether it's stemming from an emotional state. And we've certainly seen that, for some people, it's definitely a combination of physical and mental. For some people, it can be more in the mental realm. And that's not to say that, oh, the pain is all in your head, like you hear some people say, oh, it's just all in her head. No, we're not saying that, but we're saying that mental patterns and thoughts can significantly contribute to one person's experience of pain. And I've certainly felt this in my own personal experience. And what about you? Would you?
Absolutely. And I thought of something else that I meant to weave in here, but absolutely, our state of mind totally influences how we experience pain. If, but the interesting thing about pain, once again, especially on that acute level, those prostaglandins, those pain chemicals that are coursing through our veins, that are calling on our immune system, are actually also, one thing they've been studied to know and know about prostaglandins is that they promote this kind of mood that is low, and that they promote a mood that is kind of, introspective and points you inward to kind of like take care of yourself, really. But a lot of people get stuck in that. And I think the opportunity is, having the clarity to open your mind and having the clarity to be open to fresh thoughts and fresh insights that move you out of that stuck place. Because it's helpful to be stuck and stagnant and introspective for some period of time, so that you're not, for example, back to that headache party example, if someone comes in and whacks you with a hammer on your head, hopefully that never happens to anyone out there. But if that were to happen, you shouldn't go to the party. You should rest in bed, and you should be with yourself, and in that introspective way that provides that self-healing environment. So that's what prostaglandins are for. But on a chronic level, and that chronic inflammation where there's chronically elevated prostaglandins, that can be something that is an opportunity to break free from. But the other piece that I wanted to weave into this conversation, which I think is really super fascinating, is how, a lot of chronic pain, once again, we're kind of shifting to focus on chronic pain. Chronic pain, especially in different areas of the body, like our back, for example, it's really common to experience chronic back pain. And a lot of people say, oh, I've got a bulging disc, I've got a slipped disc, I've got osteoarthritis of the spine. That's why I have back pain, because of that physical mechanical issue. But there's a lot of evidence that suggests that the physical mechanical issue is not a causative factor of any pain. A lot of people who have bulging discs, like myself, don't experience pain on any sort of consistent level. So there's really not a cause and effect with mechanical structural issues and pain, especially in the back. But that being said, chronic back pain is really common, really normal, you could say. It's normal to experience pain in the back. And it's not normal, and it's not accepted in our society to experience pain and to express pain in our mental and emotional bodies.
Well, and just to kind of step back and define what you mean by normal.
It's not normal.
You mean it's socially accepted?
It's not. It's normal. It's socially accepted. For example, if to call into work and say, oh, I can't work today, I've got, my back went out because I was, whatever. My back went out. Sorry, I can't go to work today.
So it's common, but it's not it's not like, oh yeah, back pain, that's normal. That's not what you're saying.
Kinda, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you're saying in a totally healthy individual, back pain is normal. You're not saying that.
If someone,
okay,
but if someone were like, oh, I've got back pain, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird. Like, I've never heard of back pain.
So it's
like,
common.
It's like more than half of people in our society experience back pain at some point in their life. So it's normal on that sense. It's common. But it's not common. Like I said, it's not normal. It's not acceptable to experience sadness, to experience our thoughts, to experience our feelings. It's not normal. So there's a lot of theories, I would call them, but also evidence that suggests that suppressed emotions and suppressed feelings and disconnection from our emotional health and our emotional energetic bodies kind of can manifest for us to experience in our physical bodies, because that's more normal, that's more acceptable. Once again, that's more relatable in our society. So the pain that we experience physically in that chronic sense can be a pointer to just consider where else in our holistic bodies, holistic meaning our minds, our emotions, our spirit, where else are we experiencing a little tension, a little pain? Where can we connect more deeply with ourselves and nourish ourselves holistically? Because oftentimes, like you said, it's not all in your head. It's not all in your head. It's not. But oftentimes it starts in the head. It starts in the head. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it does start in the head, and then it's we're not our heads and our bodies. We are this head, body, mind, body, brain, body organism. So we're not separating the two in this conversation. We're integrating them, and understanding that a lot of people who experience stubborn chronic pain, the invitation is to consider that this is a blessing, just a gentle, sometimes not so gentle, right? But a nudge, a pointer, a shove, like, hey, be present. Like, what is the message in the pain? What is it? Sometimes it is just to nourish the physical body on a deeper level. And sometimes it might be to nourish the rest of your body on that same sort of level.
Yeah, and the fact is, pain really is a blessing. I mean, we can consider a few different scenarios. For example, let's say I put my hand on a stove. I am so grateful that I have pain so that I know how to take my hand off of the stove. Otherwise, my flesh will just become destroyed over that intense heat. Also, for example, I started feeling pain in my back molar the other day, and I had the insight, I had the wisdom to go to the dentist and get it checked out. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just stress induced, but maybe it is something. And it turns out that my filling had fallen out and I had, an open cavity again. And so I'm so glad that I had pain.
This biofeedback.
Maybe you have neurological pain that is just so intense. And even then, when it's just like taking over your life. I mean, for me, when I was in my early 20s, I had chronic joint pain. It felt like the pain was just taking over and destroying my life and getting in the way of me doing what I wanted to do. Even in that scenario, it was pointing me to what isn't serving me in my health physically and mentally and emotionally. And so in every circumstance, pain is there pointing us back to health. Mm-hmm. And it might not be comfortable.
Oh, it's painful.
And it's really hard to see the blessing when you're in the midst of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But there is, I think it's easy to conceptually understand that there is a blessing there. There is. And I firmly believe that simply living with that awareness and that curiosity and that openness to experience the blessing in the perfect timing, maybe the insight and that awareness isn't going to hit you immediately, but the insight comes when we drop our thinking and our fixing and trying to make everything perfect and make everything right. The insight comes when there's peace and the proper environment to tune in and connect with that insight. So we back to this concept that we are our own healers. So what is the pain? And knowing that all symptoms are messengers. What message does the pain have? What is the pain pointing you towards? And we do believe that pain and all symptoms is the divine wisdom programmed in your body, pointing you and directing you holistically to understand yourself, to understand your relationship with your thoughts and your feelings and your physical body and your physical, how you move and relate in your world, in your relationships with yourself and others. So what are these messages pointing you toward? Mm-hmm. That's really, a big take home.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people's tendencies, I mean, I know mine certainly was and still kind of is when I experience pain, is to immediately go into like, okay, well, yeah, like what can I do to fix this? And the good news is that you are connected with this divine source of wisdom at all times. So, in your unique scenario, your unique body and situation, the answer is gonna be unique for you, but it is It is going to come. And
yeah, we're not suggesting that you just like sit down and meditate until you get that insight. We're suggesting that you be present in your life and be present to that flow of inspiration and wisdom, which might guide you towards some practice or some stretching device or some exercise routine or some health practitioner or some person that's inspiring or some superfood or maybe even some medication or some supplement that's going to be part of that journey. But that wisdom and that direct clarity and those direct insights come when you're present. And the pain, maybe, just consider that the pain is pointing you to be present in some sort of way that might not be the most comfortable way. It might not be a gentle way. It might be really a fierce pointing, but it is the divine wisdom of your body. There is a reason for it, and it is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. I want to just speak on one more topic that I have felt in my experience recovering from chronic pain that might be of some value to people who are coming out of that and healing. Because I know what came up for me when I was on my healing journey, I had followed my wisdom and received the help that I needed, and I was taking care of myself in a more mindful way, and I was feeling better. And I was still really hyper aware of any little sensation of discomfort in my body. And even now, it's been how many years? 7 years since I was sick with chronic joint pain. Every now and then I get pain in my body still, and
good.
And it could be really, really easy for me to hyper focus on that pain and really fuel it with my attention to detail on that pain. For example, if I were to sit and think about, I still haven't gotten my filling filled again. If I were to sit and think about that, and I do sometimes, I feel my tooth hurts. And so again, we're not saying it's all in your head, but we're saying that if I continue to have thoughts about, oh, there's something wrong with my tooth and I need to fix it and I can't get in until next week, and it's just, I know that it's contributing to some pain, so blah, blah. If I hyper focus on that does experience more pain. In my present moment. So there seems to be that phenomenon as well. The more seriously we take our pain, the more intense it is.
So that is, once again, another level of biofeedback that is suggesting and gently reminding Susanna, hey, let it go. Hey, drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we haven't said in this conversation, but what we do say often is our innate state is health. Our innate state mentally and emotionally is peace. So anything that is not peace, anything that is not health, is a message to turn in that direction and move in that direction, and just a gentle reminder. So that we've said it a lot.
Yeah,
we've said it a lot.
And to translate that to my physical world reality experience, it's like, hey, I've already done everything I can do at this point. I've booked my appointment. So Susanna, let's drop these thoughts about how my tooth hurts.
And maybe when you drop those thoughts, you'll have an insight to do something else to, quote unquote, manage the pain or manage the symptoms in the interim while you're, consciously, groundedly, mindfully on this path to take care of business,
Yeah.
So, any last words?
Just that coming back to really trusting that your body does know how to correct itself, especially once you've really gotten on your healing path. Just trust in that healing path, because I was talking about this earlier with someone I was having a conversation with, even just the power of hope in healing can be some of the most powerful medicine that anyone could receive. Like, just,
Yeah.
at least it wasn't my experience.
And the anatomy of that hope, the mechanism of that hope that just came to me is that, because when we connect with hope, when we connect with someone's inspirational story, what that does is it takes our thoughts go from dwelling inward to opening up to the infinite possibilities that are always available. And that's what, connecting with others in community on a healing journey can do. It can open us up to that infinite potential that's always available. So good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully the pain, hopefully we're able to take the edge off of the pain together in this sort of conversation, and hopefully your wisdom is guiding you. Hopefully you're connected with your wisdom guiding you. You're feeling connected with that wisdom, and we're sending you all lots of blessings of love and support. And just remember, if you're not already connected with the Empowered Self Healers Facebook group, we invite you to head on over into facebook.com/groups/alterhealth and join us in our upcoming self-healing master series. All right. Peace and love. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for being with us.
Bye for now.